Today's episode features the delightful Yvonne Halling, who runs a bed and breakfast in France in the Champagne region. She's also a coach to other bed and breakfast owners or aspiring ones. She talks about her journey and also her archetypes, such as the mentor, the student, and the mother. Enjoy!
Hi there, my name's Yvonne Halling from Les Molyneux, luxury bed and breakfast in the heart of Champagne, and bed and breakfast coach. And this is just a quick video for you, Gabrielle, to thank you for taking the time to go through the archetypes system with me, which was hugely valuable. Well, and what we did when we got together and we went through the archetypes is that, Gabrielle, you asked me lots of questions about myself and my life. So that we could come up with like a core 8 archetypes, if you like, that actually described who I was. And it was absolutely fascinating, very powerful. So what they were for me was entrepreneur, pioneer, engineer, student, mother, networker, nature girl, and mentor. And you know, that was just, it was just kind of like an epiphany for me. I mean, you think you know who you are, but it isn't until somebody actually questions you and questions how you operate that you can actually get deeper insights into who you are and how they've played out, how these archetypes have played out in your life. But probably what's more important is to find out who you're actually not. Because sometimes we wear a mask and we're not actually sure whether or not that mask is us or if it is indeed the real you. And that's the real benefit of going through archetypes with Gabrielle. So here's a little bit about my story and how I came to be running a bed and breakfast in France. So we're back up a little bit to, let's go back a few years. I'm not going to say how many. But, you know, I left school, you know, got a few qualifications, not many, learned to be a typist, learned to be a secretary, because in those days that's what girls did. And I got a job in corporate and I did pretty well. I moved up the corporate ladder a bit and I had a good job and plenty of money and got married and blah, 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 you know, the whole thing. But, you know, there was always this kind of nagging little voice inside my head that kind of said, you know, this isn't you, this isn't you, this isn't what you're here for, this isn't what you should be doing. But I didn't know what to do about that, and just basically I ignored it. And I ignored it for years and years and years. And then I got divorced, and then I met another man, and we went off travelling, and we lived in the States, and then we moved to Japan, and then we came back to the UK, and then we had some children, and the whole thing just, you know, snowballed as it does, and all the time you kind of get lost in that kind of freight train, really. I don't know if you can resonate with what I'm saying, but you do get lost in that kind of that movement. And then about 7 or 8 years ago now, we had a major family disaster, and things started to shift dramatically, and that's when you kind of start thinking to yourself, well, you know, well, what's happened here? How did this happen? How did I come to be in this place? But actually it was a gift, and I didn't think so at the time, but it actually was a gift, because as I've discovered, I am a student, and when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and boy, was I ready. So I actually came across some personal development material via a network marketing company that I just joined. And I really didn't know anything about this at all, and you know, I wasn't that young at the time, and it was just like a light bulb went off in my head, and I just thought, wow, there's a whole other side to life that I just don't know about, or I didn't know about before. And I started on this journey to discover, you know, what that voice was saying in my head. All those years I set about trying to discover what that was. And, you know, it's not an overnight success. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It takes a lot of work, and I did a lot of work, and I read books, and I went to seminars, and I consumed all this personal development, self-exploration stuff, if you like. I just consumed it. And, you know, all of it works. You know, people say, oh, this book doesn't work, or this book does work, or this seminar worked for me, or it didn't work for me. But you know what? It all works, and it all doesn't work. It just depends where you are on your journey as to what you are prepared to hear and what you are ready to receive. And so then I discovered that I had to be the one to bring in the money for our family. One day I just woke up and we had been spiralling downwards, further and further downwards one day. And I don't know about you, but if you ever had one of those moments when you just think to yourself, oh, I just can't go on like this. And I had one of those days about 5 years ago now. And we were living in France, and we had a little hobby bed and breakfast business, and it wasn't really making any money at all. It was just a thing on the side. But I woke up one day and I thought to myself, somebody's got to do something. And so I set about it, and I took all that personal development stuff with me. I took all that stuff that I'd found out about me, the entrepreneur in me, the student in me, the pioneer in me, the mother in me, if you like, the mentor, the engineer, and everything that I knew that who I was, but I had never had the chance to express this before. I took it all and I focused all of it, all of that energy into my bed and breakfast business. And I learned everything about business strategy, about marketing, particularly about marketing. And I took my bed and breakfast business from making less than 10,000 a year to making over 100,000 in less than 3 years. Now, some people might say, you might be thinking, wow, that's amazing, that's an overnight success story, but it wasn't, because it really started years and years and years ago. But it wasn't until that moment when I made that decision to actually step into who I really was that things really started to change. And so I guess my message for you is that wherever you are, if you're stuck in something, and if you don't know, who you are or what you have to offer, then I encourage you to check out Gabrielle and her archetypes sessions and really dive into who you are, because the more we know about ourselves, the more we can bring of ourselves to the world. And the world needs people who bring themselves. The world doesn't need people who hide. The world needs people to be more and more of who they really are. And the flip side of that, if you like, is that you will benefit personally from that, and so will the world, which I think is the best way to live. So I hope that's been helpful to you. Thank you so much, Gabrielle. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.